Kevin Lloyd is with us. He is the owner and founder of Legacy Wealth Advisors, and we host a show on the weekend together called When Retirement Happens. Good morning, Kevin Lloyd.
Good morning, Kelly and McGraw. How you both doing?
Hi, Kevin.
How was the workshop last night?
It was well. Yeah, the room was packed. I had to bring some extra chairs in for everybody, and it was taken really well. It appears that most of the people in the room acted as if their financial advisor had never talked to them about taxes before.
Well, that's because their financial advisor has never talked to them about taxes before.
That's because most financial advisors aren't real financial advisors.
Those tax workshops are great. You've got another one coming up, and they're a great resource for people to sort of go and learn. But one of the things we want to touch on today, and that is a qualified, or should we say forced distribution from your IRA, which is very confusing, that if you do it wrong, you're going to cause yourself a lot of taxes.
You could cause yourself a lot of taxes, but you could also cause yourself a lot of penalties as well, too. Because remember, when you're 70 and a half and you have a qualified account like a 401k or an IRA or 403b, at 70 and a half, we're forced to take a distribution, and it's based upon whatever age we are that year. And so what I find or what the rule is if you don't take it out, there's a penalty, and the penalty's 50%. Then you have to take it out, and then you have to pay tax on it. So we ultimately might end up with 20%. But what I see is that people start deducting money in their 401ks because they're working. It's out of sight, it's out of mind. You might get a match on it. And what I find is a lot of people save the bulk of their retirement income into these types of accounts. And what happens is we get this tax problem that gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and nobody is looking at it because they look at it and say, well, I'm not paying tax on it today. It's deferred until I have to take it out at 70 and a half or sometime in retirement. But what happens is we lose control at 70 and a half because the government says you have to take out this certain amount. And so let's take, for example, let's say somebody is 66 today, and they got $1 million in their account, and it's growing at 6% rate of return. We'll just use that as an easy number.
Sure.
When they turn 70 and a half, they have to take out approximately $46,000 out of the account. By the time they turn 73, they've got to take almost $55,000 out of the account. When they're 82, they have to take out about $88,000. 85, you have to take out a little over $100,000. When we get to 90, it's $121,000. And the reason I want to point these numbers out is what happens, when we're forced to take this money out, and I only want 50, and the government's making me take 100, and now I have to pay taxes. And today, we are in the lowest tax rate environment that we have ever been in. And we're deducting this money in these 401k accounts, and ultimately, in my opinion, we're going to pay substantially higher tax when we're forced to take it out. So I think that we should save the appropriate amount in those types of accounts, but we have to realize what the tax liability is going to be. Inherently, when somebody dies in a married couple, we go from a married filing jointly status to a single filer status. And just because someone dies, our taxes go up.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. They don't know that their taxes are going to go up based on the same amount of income, and they're going to pay a heck of a lot more taxes. It's not fair. My spouse just died, and now I got to pay more taxes. Or let's just say we all live long, healthy lives, and now I'm still forced to take these distributions. That's why, McGraw, Kelly, I think that we should have a strategy long before we retire, long before 70 and a half, to understand how we're going to take the money out of those accounts and have a strategy to make sure we mitigate taxes as much as possible on these qualified dollars.
So think about this for a second. We've talked about this on our Saturday show, When Retirement Happens, and that is if you're forced to take the distribution at 70 and a half, you get, as you said, you get penalized 50%. So if you have to take out $50,000, the penalty is $25,000, and then they tax you on top of that?
Right, correct. If you don't take it out, you miss it. You got to pay the $25,000 penalty, plus you got to pull the $50,000 out of the account. Now I got to pay tax on it as well too. So I'm getting penalized basically twice on this. And McGraw, I've seen this happen where people have accidentally forgot to take money out of accounts. Because, see, think about this. Let's say you got a 401k and then you got an IRA, and then maybe you got another IRA hanging out there as well, too. And so you got 3 different accounts, and some people think, well, I can just take all of my required minimum distribution out of one IRA for my IRAs and my 401k. But that's not true. You can't do it. If you have a 401k and you have an IRA, you have to take a distribution from each account. Now, if I have 100 IRAs, I can satisfy all of my RMDs or my required minimum distribution by just one account. But you have to understand the titling and how everything works, because if we do it wrong, we could end up being penalized. And sometimes I see people are penalized because you got a husband and wife. Typically what I see is the husband takes care of everything, and then they pass away, and the wife's left trying to figure out how all of this stuff works. She forgets to take money out of the 401k plan, and ultimately is end up paying tax and these penalties on these things. And I've seen it more than once.
All right. So what you're saying is everyone tells you to put it in, no one tells you how to take it out, and that's where you come in with Legacy Wealth Advisors and our show on the weekend, When Retirement Happens. I'm short on time. When's the next open workshop?
So the next open workshop is April 10th. I had it on the 5th, but that was opening day Cardinal baseball, and I'm not competing against the Cardinals, so I moved it to the 10th.
All right, April 10th to sign up. They need a head count. WhenRetirementHappens.com or 314-641-1010. And if you don't want to wait till April 10th, you can certainly call Kevin at the office, and he'll be happy to sit with you. 314-641-1010 or WhenRetirementHappens.com. Kevin, good stuff. Have a good day.
You too. Talk to you later.